Where we go one, we go all.
Well, okay, guys, so okay, look, I've never been a guy to really buy into conspiracy theories or QAnon nonsense, but maybe I need to reconsider my opinions. I'm starting to think that maybe, maybe they got a point here or there. I mean, that was a pretty valid argument. Let me hear his argument again one more time.
Where we go one, we go all.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty decent argument. I think he has made the most convincing argument so far. We're going to be talking about the QAnon conference, which was a thing that occurred. The first thing I want to touch on is the QAnon conference. So, a QAnon conference on its face sounds like a ridiculous thing that has occurred, right? But let's all keep our minds open as we consume this material. Because who knows, maybe, beforehand we're laughing at these people as complete whack jobs who have hijacked our political system and have somehow gotten their way into Congress through people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. But on the other hand, maybe the adrenochrome stuff is actually happening and Hillary Clinton has hooked herself up to 1 million different babies in a demonic time chamber. Who knows? Anyway, let's keep an open mind as our favorite DylanBurnsTV field reporter, Andrew Callaghan, investigates the QAnon conference.
I've kind of been searching for the truth my whole life. And one time I just came across a video that was about Biden and Kamala Harris and Clinton and Obama. They are Satan worshipers, Satanists. They're Satan worshipers, 100%.
I like the pan over to the flames when she confirmed that they are Satan worshipers. That is a horrific revelation.
And I couldn't wait to tell my family. And
Wait, okay. So, let's say that you just learned that you believe that not only the president, but past presidents and the current president, like all these presidents and political figures, were all Satan worshipers. Personally, I'd be kind of horrified at the idea, but from the way she said how she told her family.
Worshipers, 100%. And I couldn't wait to tell my family.
With that big smile on her face, it felt like she's excited. Like, guys, look, they're sacrificing the children. I personally wouldn't be as excited about Satan worship.
And they just go, they just said, you're crazy. Trump's the worst.
How does that make you feel?
Sad, I cry all the time. But I just keep praying. That's all I do. I just keep praying and asking God to open their eyes. I have a beautiful family. They're just blind.
Which family member do you miss the most?
Probably my baby sister. I told her we're in a spiritual warfare. This is between good and evil, and she rolled her eyes.
What was her name?
Meg. We go and have wine together and lunch together, and it's gone.
You wish.
The thing is, this is legitimately sad that she has been completely hijacked by this conspiracy theorist movement, and all it took was one YouTube video. By the way, subscribe to my YouTube, ! YouTube in chat, and anybody watching this on YouTube, please sub. But all it took was one YouTube video for her to completely destroy her relationship with her family, and for her to believe that multiple people are Satan worshipers. What evidence did they provide? Nothing substantial. No, respectable news articles. Just a bunch of nonsense. Oh, if you look at Obama's hand, there's a line in it that might turn into a say. Just a bunch of nonsense like that. And all it took was one YouTube video to completely destroy her family life and most likely her mental health.
You had never stumbled upon.
Once you learn, you don't turn back. I know what God wants of us and what Jesus wants, and it's what Trump wants, and it's what
Jesus, so wait, to be fair, so Jesus wants to ban Muslims from entering the United States. Because Trump did famously say, a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. So Jesus was like, we need to bomb the families of terrorists. That's a Jesus statement, let's bomb civilians. I'm sorry, but anytime, and I even say this for my own candidates, like, I'm not going to stand up and say Jesus would have picked Joe Biden, right? Like, we have no clue who Jesus would have picked. We have no clue. And I'm not going to pretend to have Jesus's mindset like I have his eyes and ears on me. I'm not going to speak for Jesus.
The Patriots want. I would never turn back, no matter how many of my family I lose.
Where we going? We go on!
God, Jehovah, you are the most high God. You are the most high
I have been
God.
censored 3 times, disabled, permanently disabled on Facebook. Censored, permanently suspended. They don't like my Q flag. They don't like my Q mobile, and they sure the hell don't like me in my Q Patriot costume.
Where we go one, we go all.
Well, okay, guys, so okay, look, I've never been a guy to really buy into conspiracy theories or QAnon nonsense, but you know, maybe I need to reconsider my opinions. I'm starting to think that maybe, you know, that maybe they got a point here or there. I mean, that was a pretty valid argument. Let me hear his argument again one more time. Second.
Hell don't like me in my Q Patriot costume.
Where we go one, we go all.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty decent argument. I think he has made the most convincing argument so far.
I don't even say that.
Well, by the way, what's a Q-mobile? Can we look at our Q-mobile for a second? I want to take a... Hold the line. Don't know what that has to refer to. I think that's Michael Flynn right here. A bunch of, like soldiers, I assume. Trump, JFK Jr. Wait, like Trump is JFK Jr.? Okay, sure. Q Patriots. The American like shield. When tyranny becomes law, and then it's got the Punisher thing. By the way, none of these people have read the comics. None of these people know what the symbol means. No, if you would have read the Punisher, you probably would not believe all this QAnon nonsense and want there to be a military coup. I think that runs against everything the comics ever stood for. OIF and OEF veteran, the best is yet to come. I prefer dangerous liberty to peaceful servitude. Q, and it looks like what's that one there? Like I see with a bunch of symbols around. There's just a lot going on here on the Q mobile. There's a lot going on here.
Q mobile, and they sure the hell don't like me in my Q Patriot costume.
Where we go one, we go all. I don't even say the M word anymore, right?
What?
The M word.
What's that?
It's a dirty word. It's now I have.
It's a dirty word. I thought he was gonna say Mick. I thought he was gonna go into some old style racism. I thought he was about to start talking about you know what's destroying America? Irish immigrants. I thought he was gonna go into some those mud shoveling Micks, all going back to the Emerald Isle, right? Getting angry at the Irish. TOS. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry for my Irish American viewers in chat. Pretty sure that word is not TOS. Yeah, I did not expect it to be mask.
My own words instead of the words that
he hates the M word, loves the N word. That's, I think we might be closer on point than we think.
the algorithms are gonna shut me down.
Can you tell us what words you use for which? We're not going to shut you down.
Mask, the face diaper, vaccine, the jokey pokey, and election.
The jokey pokey. The jokey pokey. I love it. That's what I'm gonna call my vaccine going forward, in an endearing way.
Fraud. The obvious fraud. See, people don't understand everything that we've learned from day one has been a lie. We never were on the moon.
See, these conspiracy theories lay on top of each other. So not only is the election a fraud, the vaccine's a fraud, the mask is a fraud, but the moon landing's a fraud, everything's a fraud. The textbooks are frauds. I don't know. George Washington was a fraud. He wasn't real. Like, just keep going higher and higher. Like, the Titanic never happened. Just keep choosing more and more random historical events that didn't happen. I want to start a conspiracy theory, and my conspiracy theory, I think it's going to be that George Washington never existed, or that George Washington was, like, Tibetan. He was, like, a Tibetan monk. Something along those, just something really out there that nobody's going to see coming. I want to start one.
No, I don't think the Hitler situation is as bad as they said it was either.
Well, I'd like to say I didn't see it coming, but the Hitler situation. And who calls it that? The Hitler situation. You don't call it World War II. You don't call it Nazi Germany. You don't call it the Holocaust. It's the Hitler situation. It's like how the Alabama Republican Party called that a right-wing council member calling the mayor a House N-word recently in Alabama. Then the Republican Party came out with a statement saying, we don't like that racialized incident. Racialized incident. Very, very specific language there.
No, I don't think the Hitler situation is as bad as they said it was either. That was the Rothschilds. That was the Rockefellers. Those are naughty words.
Wait, the Rothschilds? The Rothschilds did the Holocaust? So is he saying the Jews holocausted themselves? Is that his accusation?
In social media, I got banned forever on Facebook.
You're watching Channel 5.
After a hectic few weeks on the road, covering events like the Pickup Artist Boot Camp in Las Vegas,
America is back open, baby. It's makeout time.
And creating my first solo documentary about two twins in Marin City, California.
We've been everywhere and on every bitch.
Hey, bitch, I'm in my mode. Money turn me
Off twins. That video was a blast.
I decided to dive back into the world of right-wing politics. That's when I discovered the God and Country Patriot Roundup, a 3-day event in Dallas which cost $3,000, not including a stay at the Omni Hotel in Dallas, which cost an additional $1,000.
Jesus.
What I found there was a couple hundred patriots with one thing in common.
I have been banned from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. This is Joe Biden's daughter's diary.
Could you imagine being so upset about being banned off of Facebook and Twitter that this girl right here just became an IRL Twitter poster? Instead of posting her stuff on Twitter, she just makes like random long text memes and just keeps them in a collage like she's collecting stamps. She has a scrapbook for like satanic memes about the Clintons.
To make videos like reading it out loud.
I've lost 2 YouTube channels, 3 Twitters, and 4 Facebooks. Every time.
I mean, he lists them off like they were buddies in Nam. Like, I lost Billy, I lost Franklin, and oh, Joseph. Oh, I lost Joseph to the punji spikes. It was terrible. He's listing them off like they're like legitimate like war casualties.
It's like, yes, I'm winning.
Why'd you get banned?
The so-called Pizzagate conspiracy theory.
Well, first of all,
Okay, so the thing about Pizzagate, not only is it wild because Pizzagate is such a ridiculous conspiracy theory among all the conspiracy theories for the reason that you can physically go and check out Pizza Ping Pong. You can go to the location, order a pizza, and see that everything's fine yourself. You can do that. It'd be like me saying the Washington Monument is a gathering place for like Satanists, but you can go inside the Washington Monument. This makes sense, right? You can go check it out yourself. That's the first reason. Number 2, why would it be in such out in the open? And number 3, it actually, even though it's so ridiculous on its face, by the way, why would the Clintons and everyone else do Satan like worshiping nonsense outside a ping pong pizza parlor? If I was a Satan worshiper who was sacrificing children, I wouldn't do it at a pizza parlor. I'd do it on something more high-end. I feel like if I was sacrificing kids and being a Satan worshiper, I'd choose like a sushi place or maybe like a steak, at least a steakhouse, right? If I am some elite top of society, I'm not doing a pizza parlor. I'm doing a steakhouse. You know, if they have the power to sacrifice all these children and not get caught at the highest levels of society and drone strike people halfway across the room, I think they have the ability to like at least reserve a steakhouse instead of a pizza parlor. Right? Anyway, the thing is, The Pizzagate conspiracy theory inspired real-life terrorism. QAnon has as well. QAnon has inspired terrorism that has, like, killed mafia dons. True story, look it up. But Pizzagate led to that one guy with an AR-15 going into the pizza parlor, holding the place up, shooting into the ceiling, asking to see the kids. There were no kids. And he drove hours to do it. It wasn't like he was next to the pizza parlor, heard about it, and ran in. He drove hours to do it. It was super premeditated. He had hours on the road to consider his decision, and the whole time he recorded himself just like, gotta get those kids. Crazy, man.
I had like 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. The last couple of videos I did were all about the Hunter Biden laptop issue. Within 48 hours of putting those out, they just deleted my channel right away. And then within 2 weeks of that, I was deleted off of Twitter as well.
Yes, we were recently...
By the way, they say this like they think it's a coordinated strategy and not, hey guys, we got a report about this guy saying that Hunter Biden's a pedophile and that all these sacrifices are happening, and just spreading just blatant disinformation about vaccines. And YouTube itself didn't make the decision to take it down for everyone's safety. They think it's like a government coordinated plot to just specifically target those telling the truth. Is there any evidence? No, but it's easy to be the victim. And that's another thing. I remember back in the day, like it was like during the skeptic era, like 2015, 2016 YouTube, talking about the snowflakes, right? How the left is so easily offended. They're all snowflakes. They're all playing victims. But then, like, every single narrative that I see being spun at these conferences and by large right-wing YouTubers is about how they're being oppressed because they can't call gay people the F slur on YouTube anymore without getting censored. You think I'm being hyperbolic, but Steven Crowder got in a lot of trouble because he sold a shirt basically using the F slur to define socialists, and he got in trouble for that, and that was a huge complaint he had. So I'm not being hyperbolic. Like, those who are complaining about victim culture, I feel like it's a lot of it's projection. And that's not to say that the left doesn't actually have some sort of a victim culture, right? I do think that sometimes people can weaponize victimhood in certain scenarios. I don't think it's nearly as widespread as people say, but I think a lot of this, like, complaints about victim culture is just 100% projection.
I kicked off Twitter because of a confrontation I did with the V.
I think you're attributing victim status without many people claiming victim status. To be clear, nobody claims to be a victim, right? Nobody says, like, hello everyone, I'm a victim, right? They'll say, hello everyone, I'm censored, or hello everyone, I've been attacked, or I've been hurt, or I've been this or that. Even those who you would think that I'm sure you would call victims or playing victim roles don't stand up and say, hey everyone, I am a victim. People generally don't like to be victims. I know I don't.
VP of Integrity at Facebook.
If we weren't making a difference, if it wasn't that important, why would they spend so much effort and energy into it?
I mean, all of Silicon Valley is like run by the Chinese, so.
We're in war. It's no different than what they were doing to the Jews and different things. They silence them. They're just...
Getting banned off of Twitter is no different than what they did to the Jews. Well, until I see 6 million people get shoved into camps in the United States, it's a little difficult for me to believe that.
Doing it through social media and electronically now.
It's a war of the minds. It's psychological, right? It's emotional. It's mental. It's actually worse than having bullets and missiles.
It's getting banned off of Twitter and Facebook is worse than getting shot or blown up. You know what? I have an offer for this man. One second.
Emotional. It's mental. It's actually...
This guy, I am willing at any point to pay him for a one-way boat ride into Yemen. I'll get him over to Somalia. We'll sail him into Yemen. And I will do everything possible to get him unbanned from Twitter. And so he can trade places with a Yemeni child who will be shipped over to the United States, but sadly, they'll be banned from Twitter. So, would you rather be in the spot of that Yemeni child who might be blown up by an airstrike or killed by the Houthi rebels and war crimes or tortured or any number of things, or starved to death because of the blockade or any number of combat losses, or banned off of the Bird app? I will do everything I can to facilitate this man switching places with the Yemeni child so he can be unbanned from Twitter.
Worse than having bullets and missiles. The only
real difference between woke supremacists and the Nazi supremacists, the white supremacists, the Old South, is the technology available to them. They don't need to put the Jews, the other, into ghettos because they can now electronically ghettoize us.
Electronically ghettoize us. So is like Gab and Parler like the modern ghetto? Is the Red Cross gonna have tours of Parler looking at the humane conditions? I'm excited. I'm excited for the Red Cross tours of the Parler.
In fact, this Jew is electronically ghettoized. They have removed my voice from the community.
Electronically ghettoized. Honestly, electronically ghettoized. That phrase right there could be used in a lot of different ways, and I'm not happy about it.
Being imprisoned in Zuckerberg's gulags. And again, it serves exactly the same purpose as Stalin's gulags. They woke people, wake up. It's pretty ridiculous to be outraged by a misgendered toy plastic potato. It's pretty ridiculous to be outraged by the shape of a syrup jar shaped in the design of a beloved black ant.
You're talking about Mr. Potato Head.
A beloved black ant.
Aunt Jemima?
Mr. Potato Head and Aunt Jemima. It is ludicrous to be outraged by a drawer.
He's breaking. Andrew, I need you to hold in. Andrew, I need you to hold in. I can relate to what he's saying, though. I mean, I can relate to Andrew here. The amount of roundtables I host where somebody will say some nonsensical nonsense, and I'm just sitting there doing everything to not laugh. Okay, so here's a tip if you're watching my roundtables. If I start leaning into the mic like this so nobody can see my mouth, it's because I'm so close to laughing. I'm so close to breaking. And I can't laugh because I can't show that bias openly as a moderator. But I don't want to, like, do the Prime thing where, like, Prime will, like, constantly, like, laugh at statements during roundtables. I don't want to do that because I know it makes, like, guests feel unwelcome. But God, man, not to mention when CTV, like, you know, opens his mouth and starts shooting out bangers, I'm close to dying every time, man.
Story in a 70-year-old children's book of a hard-working Asian man that was somewhat cartoonish. Because you know what? You know why it was
somewhat cartoonish. To be clear, when he says somewhat cartoonish, what he's talking about is he calls it a hard-working Asian man. Dr. Seuss did not write like 20 paragraphs talking about the work ethic of the Chinese community. What he drew was an Asian man, literally painted yellow, with lines for eyes, a rice hat, running around with chopsticks. To be clear. It wasn't somewhat cartoonish, it was outlandishly cartoonish.
Cartoonish? Because it was a cartoon. Because it was a cartoon.
It sucks, but that's why we fight.
And now what we've done is between President Trump and people like Q and podcasts like myself, we had a voice.
Oh my gosh. Wait, flex the truth. Flex the truth Oh man. Can somebody find this podcast for me and send it to me? I gotta listen.
We are the news now. When people want to know the truth, where do they go?
Alternative platforms like Rumble, BitChute, DLive, Twitch, Foxhole, Pilled, CloutHub, PureSocial.tv.
Can I be honest? When I'm on like a panel with Rob, I'll hear the term alternative media. Like at the end of every panel, Rob Noor will say something like, you know, even if I disagree with everybody here, support alternative media. And the more and more I hear people use alternative media, the more and more I don't want to be associated with it. Because it seems that what people are talking about when they talk about alternative media is the stories that mainstream news won't cover. And sometimes that's important stuff, like the war in Yemen, which doesn't get enough coverage, drone strikes, the certain labor strikes and stuff like that, which is super important. But a lot of times it's seeming more and more when I hear the term alternative media, it means anti-vax conspiracy theories, QAnon nonsense, election fraud conspiracy theories, and the Uyghurs aren't really being persecuted, or any number of like conspiracy theorist nonsense. And so the more and more I hear it, the less and less I want to be associated with that label.
I use Telegram a lot. I love Telegram. I have great group chats on there.
I do a lot of stuff in the community, in the streets. I go stand at squares and hold signs for the kids. Operation 1009, Save Our Children, and human trafficking.
We have to return to the...
To be clear, I think a lot of people, when it comes to human trafficking, I really question if they like really care about human trafficking. Because if you support Donald Trump, on this issue of human trafficking, you have to also acknowledge that Donald Trump was close personal friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And like openly acknowledged to the public that he liked women on the younger side. Now, if you want to make the same claim about Bill Clinton and his plane rides with Jeffrey, fair enough. But I don't think Donald Trump is exactly the best person to think about. And oh yeah, another good term, Matt Gaetz, who's literally under FBI investigation right now, huge Trump supporter, huge Republican congressman, for the crime of sex trafficking minors. And there's Venmo payments that back it up. Not to mention, then you got Roy Moore, who's another pedophile. It's just not a good record right now in the Trump camp.
Oldest technology of all, which is one-on-one conversation.
So I guess everyone at this event is pretty much deplatformed there. So I guess this is kind of like the way for them to network, hang out, figure out what's next. How you doing?
Big fan, bro.
Hell yeah, dog. What's on your mind?
I just met a group. They're called like Down for the Revote.
Why was that guy standing so close? I thought he was like it was a skit. Why is this guy standing so close to him?
Network, hang out, figure out what's next. How you doing?
Big fan, bro.
Hell yeah, dog. What's on your mind?
I just met a group. They're called like Down for the Revote or something, and they're like doing a Justice for Prince thing. They think like a few days before Prince was gonna die, he was gonna out Hillary Clinton on like eating and raping children.
Let's go find them.
Justice for Prince? Guys, maybe if we slow down Purple Rain, it'll give us the coordinates for the child sex trafficking headquarters. Who knows?
Hey, how you doing?
No one in the whole universe will ever compare.
Prince was murdered, and we absolutely have already proven it by mathematical standards.
Proven it by mathematical standards? How do you prove a murder by mathematical standards? What number do you divide by to find out that Prince was murdered?
Prince had been exposing things about deep state, Illuminati, cabal. I call it the Worldwide Communist Network, and I think we all.
You want to know? I can't wait for the next 20 years to be defined by that one libertarian guy who died recently. I forgot his name. He was the dude, McAfee, John McAfee, being the next 20 years of conspiracy theories, that John McAfee was going to reveal this about the Bidens, or this about the Clintons, or this or this or that. And it's going to be the next 20 years of conspiracy theories just because John McAfee wanted to go out with a bang.
Know that when you do things like that and you use your celebrityism and your platform to speak these truths that are not allowed, right, by the one-eyed crew, then you get hit.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Chester Bennington's the lead singer of Linkin Park. He and Chris Cornell were going to expose Hillary Clinton's pedophilia. Jeffrey Epstein was essential in facilitating quite a lot of this. He is responsible for the murder of multiple people, including Nipsey Hussle.
What?
Nipsey Hussle? He murdered Nipsey? Well, of course. How did I not see this before? It's all so clear to me now.
Yes. Nipsey Hussle is one of my spirit guides, and I.
Dude, I'm sorry. Nipsey Hussle was murdered by the deep state cabal. I know it because he's one of my spirit guides. I feel like is maybe where I need to draw the line. Honestly, I feel like I need to draw the line there.
I've just worked with his energy and guidance since his death.
Where do you get your news from?
From divine source, from God. We are a prophetic justice ministry.
So does she wake up and she's just like, the stock prices are down 3%. That's not good for my stock portfolio. Like but really, how do you get your news? Like, how do you actually get your news?
I do not watch TV. I don't watch truthers. I don't watch the internet. I do not really even read books. I've channeled all of my life. I've always heard his voice, and my accuracy.
She says that with such pride, too.
Is constantly at 99 to 100%.
We're not part of the Q movement. We align with some of the things that Q has said. We really came out.
It does not align with the Q movement while holding Q sign. Yeah, I'm not a Trumper. I'm not a big guy on the. That'd be like me saying like, yeah, I have a neutral opinion on DILFs. I'm pretty neutral on DILFs generally. I'm sorry, it's just you can't do it.
To just network with this community. So love and honor and infinite love and gratitude to Prince and Nipsey Hussle.
Upon further research, I learned that this was not just any Patriot conference. The event is hosted by John Sabal, aka QAnon John, and his wife Amy. These Patriots are avid believers in QAnon, a conspiracy theory that a deep state insider is spreading messages on the image board 8chan to expose people like Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates.
Why would they choose 8chan, by the way? Out of all the places to like post these leaks, why wouldn't you like send it to, I don't know, like people with history of doing this, like Glenn Greenwald or The Intercept or, well, I don't know, like, hell, even WikiLeaks.
Saying they belong to an elite cabal of Satan worshipping, I don't know what, Brace, you wanna come in here?
QAnon is the theory that an individual or a group of individuals are exposing the deep state, including Hillary Clinton and her baby-eating ways, through the image board 8chan, which also has a lot of child porn. They think either Donald Trump is Q or he's behind it. He is like a Christ-like figure who's...
It is true that 8chan also has a lot of child porn, so it's kind of weird that they're trying to expose and stop child sex trafficking on the same site that continues child sex trafficking.
Come to the office of the presidency in order to arrest and execute every single person who they don't like.
But right now is a weird time to be a Q supporter. For years, Q has talked about the storm, a day of reckoning in which Trump, along with the military, would arrest all the members of the deep state and save the world. But the storm never came.
It's weird to be a QAnon person.
More of a, just like a few clouds and a light drizzle, really.
Now, because for 5 years, QAnon people have believed that Nancy Pelosi, etc., would be arrested and executed in Guantanamo Bay prison in Cuba. And to this date, not a single person has been.
And on December 8th, 2020, Q stopped posting.
I think the last post was a scene from Last of the Mohicans and then a GIF of an American flag flying over a forest. That's basically it. I think January 6th was supposed to be the storm, and then that didn't work, and then January 20th was supposed to be the storm. But at that time, everyone was really tired. But they keep saying, I've been in there all morning, that the storm is still coming.
Q is truth forever, whether there's posts or not, as long as Anons never cease to find and spread the truth. I could go on for weeks about Q and what I've learned. One, that this was an inside job, and I hope that all those that are guilty of what they did and all the crimes that came after it are punished to the fullest extent of the law.
It was an infiltration. I was there. I know what it was. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, George.
The thing is, the idea that Antifa was involved in the January 6th riots, right? This is something that's been pushed for a while, and I think it was originally like pushed by Matt Gaetz. What happened was that the people tried to use facial recognition technology to prove that it wasn't the right wing, it was actually Antifa. And what they did is that they found Antifa websites and used facial recognition technology to connect that with local Antifa chapter websites. Chapter websites don't exist. There was like a few pages on the internet with those who were at the event. And there was a lot of connections. And so a lot of people was like, whoa, see, Antifa. Problem is, if you know anything about Antifa, if you read anything about Antifa, you would know that Antifa historically has not been a big movement about here's my face, look at me. Black bloc doesn't work if you know everybody who is in the black bloc. So people did a little bit of research, and these faces that people were connecting weren't Antifa people. They were fascists that the Antifa websites posted on their pages to make people aware and to alert people of fascists to look out for in their community. So all that facial recognition data and software did was prove that there was a lot of white supremacists at the January 6th insurrection.
Soros funded, same thing. It's all infiltration. We've learned it. We've seen the court documents since it's happened. these are people with connections.
I don't think that the storm didn't necessarily happen. I think that the whole point of it was for a vast majority of people to wake up. There are still things happening. You know, I mean, we've got the audits in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin.
The audits in Arizona came out and it said out of 3 million votes, there was a possible of 200 cases out of 3 million of election fraud. And by the way, that's possible. Meaning that's not 200 cases of election fraud out of 3 million. That means it's like probably around like 50 out of 3 million, which is literally nothing.
I trust 100% that there's a plan. I think it's Dan Scavino, Mike Pompeo. I think, you know, we're obviously not allowed to hear about certain things because it's a military operation. And, you know, I have complete faith. It doesn't ruin my hopes that, you know, a lot of people aren't talking about it. They don't want to get kicked off Facebook.
Part of the reason I believe we're in this problem is because we've gotten conditioned for instant gratification. Q was the template. It doesn't matter what Q does. It doesn't matter what Trump does until we're willing to participate in something different and be a part of that. See, we are the plan. We are the storm. I think they did their job. You know, they started the Great Awakening.
Were you disappointed when Q stopped posting back in December?
No, because they did their job. Am I disappointed in Trump? No, Trump did his job. Now we have to, as people, take back our country and not wait for a hero.
One of the tactics of this new psychological war seemed to be avoiding Q. The main speakers of the event, General Flynn and Sidney Powell, claimed to not know anything about what we're talking about.
Right there, gentleman, right here.
Okay, thank you. Andrew Callaghan, Channel 5 Action News. So,
Channel 5 from where, though? Describe
Channel 5 Action News is not actually a TV channel. It's the name of our YouTube channel.
I got it. I think I knew that about you.
It's not syndicated through a national broadcast.
By the way, Michael Flynn, as much as he is now a ridiculous icon in the QAnon movement, was a general in the United States military and was the former national security advisor to Donald Trump, meaning this man, until he was removed for multiple scandals, had a significant early impact, or was supposed to have a significant early impact before he was removed, was going to, on our nation's foreign policy. That is who he's currently talking to, and is now an icon in the QAnon movement, who has said things like, "Where we go one, we go all," which is, of course, a QAnon catchphrase.
Casting corporation, but you know, so talking about manipulation, if you go on any mainstream media platform, they describe this whole event as a QAnon conspiracy conference.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they're doing that, and is that true?
If they create this boogeyman, right? If they create this boogeyman, that's a nice little thing to just keep beating us about. They try to take an organization like this and create that level of noise that I talked.
Here it is right here. Michael Flynn posts video featuring QAnon slogans. This is where it is. See if we can watch it quick. Come on, CNN. Come on, the Chinese news network, Clinton News Network. Here we go.
Where we go one, we go all. God bless America.
Yeah, listen to it again.
Where we go one, we go all. Where we go one, we go all. God bless America.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
About QAnon. They're the domestic. They're the new. They're the new shiny object. I don't know what QAnon is. I really don't.
So why did you take the pledge? How are you going to tell me you don't know what it is and you took the QAnon pledge?
But I'm going to leave here saying, well, do you believe in God?
General Flynn was being real sneaky.
As he delivered his speech, vendors in the back sold QAnon hats and t-shirts, and his colleague Sidney Powell was even wearing a big fat Q on the back of her motorbike jacket.
He claimed to not know what QAnon was, but months before, he took the oath with his entire extended family.
Where we go one, we go all. Where we go one, we go all. God bless America. God bless America.
Listen, on the 4th of July last year, where we go one, we go all, he was the military man who knew about the Hillary Clinton scandals and what they've been doing for years.
So why hasn't he said anything? If he knows it all, why doesn't he say anything?
Truth is what brought the movement alive. And, whether or not he's in it, he's the people's general. He woke us up. Whatever it was, he had a role in the Great Awakening. Shout out to General Flynn. Where we go on, we go all.
We just talked to General Flynn, and he said he doesn't know what QAnon is.
Well, media, look what they do when they take little pieces of it, and we've been ostracized, we've been talked about, through our families, we've lost loved ones, wives have walked away, parents, everybody is.
By the way, how are they still obsessed with Hillary? Like, Hillary's doing nothing. Like, I mean, like with Trump, it looks like he's most likely looking towards running again in 2024. He's still making a ton of appearances. Hillary Clinton, I don't know what she's doing. She's wandering in the woods somewhere. I don't know if she's fly fishing. She could be doing go-karts for all I know. Like, Hillary's like long gone. They're still on Hillary, man.
Ostracized in a certain way in their own communities. And
It's like an old boxer talking about the win they had 30 years ago as they lose again and again and again.
Why give them the opportunity?
Not surprisingly, other speakers followed General Flynn's lead.
What are your thoughts on the whole QAnon thing?
I don't know about it. I really don't.
Oh my God, another foreign policy advisor. The thing that scares me particularly about the QAnon movement as somebody who cares about foreign policy is that there's so many specifically in his foreign policy area. There's Michael Flynn, there's George Papadopoulos. It's just constant stream of QAnon nonsense, man. Oh my God.
And, I only talk about things I know. Like, are you familiar with arena football?
Arena football?
Yeah,
like the sport?
Yeah, the sport. So, my roommate was one of the old owners of one of the teams.
So this event in general has been called a QAnon conspiracy theory rally. Even says, where we go one, we go all on the lanyard. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
I don't know. I'm just here to talk. Booker T. Washington is...
It says it on the lanyard. Could you imagine wearing a lanyard? It says, where we go one, we go all. You see QAnon hats being sold everywhere. You see Michael Flynn taking the oaths months beforehand. You hear everyone saying, we go one, we go all. You hear the news asking about QAnon. You know that the person who is doing this conference, who organized the whole thing, is a QAnoner. You know all this. And it was like, QAnon? What's a QAnon?
the father of black conservatism. His three-point plan of education, entrepreneurship, and self-reliance, we need to bring that back.
I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty of it all when the sun comes shining through. I think Trump is the best thing that ever happened to black people in particular. I represent the hood from St. Louis.
Ever. Best thing. Nothing ever was better than him. Got it.
Kill each other every day in the black community. When a young girl is sitting up on her bed doing her homework and a bullet comes through the window, there's no Black Lives Matter. But as soon...
He harmonized them. He harmonized his excuses for the police.
As a white police officer grabs a black person the wrong way, put the finger in the face the wrong way. Black Lives Matter. It has nothing to do with the matters of black lives.
So why did the protest movement get like a huge boost when a black person was murdered by a cop and that cop was recently convicted as obviously guilty, if it didn't have to do with black lives?
So what are the undercurrents that are hiding behind the Black Lives Matter movement?
First of all, it was started by two black lesbians who hate the black family.
The war against BLM and Antifa rages on.
Okay, Antifa, I'm speaking to you. So what I saw yesterday...
He's speaking to all of them. All of Antifa. Okay. You know what? I was a counter-protester at January 6th and at the Millie MAGA March, so I'll have to be I'm the best thing you're gonna get. Okay, let's hear it.
Is uncalled for. When you're sitting there making up lies about speakers that are involved with QAnon, when you're sitting there spewing ugliness, make sure you know and educate yourself. And don't be spewing out venom.
Midway through our interview, fake news arrived.
Let's go on. Let's go find out. Yeah, let's go find out. You're hosting.
What?
Oh man, he's part of the news crew now. He's been recruited.
Doing? What's happening?
Some guy got kicked out.
Oh, he got kicked out. Who?
He's a reporter.
Oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, is that fake news? Fake news. Will, how you doing, brother? You trying to get in, huh? Not good. Try to get in, huh? Not good, Will.
I think surrounding his car and like bullying him to leaving after kicking out the news is probably not the best way to like show how much you hate censorship. Personally, I think kicking out journalists for covering your event is again not a great way to show how much you hate censorship.
Yeah, get out of here.
Schmuck.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, they're not fans of mine. I think QAnon John, who runs it, is not like a huge fan of my reporting.
The Daily Beast has done a lot of great reporting on the QAnon movement, Matt Gaetz being a pedophile. Like, I've come to like respect more and more like a lot of the Daily Beast reporting. And I'm only saying that from like the articles I've read from I don't know much about their funding circles or anything, but the more and more I read their articles, the higher quality they have been recently.
And I think QAnon people just like aren't huge fans of reporters in general.
Bro,
what QAnon tells you
when
is
I
that
was at the January 6th insurrection, I remember just watching like reporters behind like a metal barricade because they were like terrified of being like attacked and killed. And one of them was covering the event behind them where people were busting in windows with flags, with like Confederate flags, and they were storming the Capitol, beating cops. And one of them said, so this riot that is occurring. And then one of the people in the crowd heard them say that, walked up and said, riot, riot, and then started waving an American flag in front of the camera so they couldn't cover anything. Then other people gathered. Then they pelted them with small objects, tore down the metal barrier, and then pushed all the media away before smashing their cameras because they were called a riot. I hope it's self-evident the problem there.
like the most powerful people in the world just committing the most heinous crimes. They're abusing children with impunity, right? And only you and Donald Trump can stop it. And so if you believe that, then like, yeah, of course you're going to be on board with QAnon. And I think like part of it is frankly that it seems pretty fun. And look, they call themselves digital soldiers, right? It's like you're like in a war.
Do you feel bad for these people?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I don't feel super bad for like the people who are promoting it and like who I think are often cynically making money and really.
Yeah, you don't feel bad for Michael Flynn or the organizer of this event or anybody actually making Q posts. No.
People, but yeah, I typically feel very bad for the average QAnon believer because, you know, it's something that it preys on your emotions, right? It's like almost everyone I know, they have a story about someone they know who has like lost their mind to QAnon.
I actually have somebody down. I know somebody down in Florida who's a good family friend who has lost it to QAnon. It's affected a lot of people. Hannah, thank you so much for the Prime Gaming. Could you imagine paying $3,000 for this much garbage food? $3,000 for food like this.
We're actually doing food. We're actually feeding people.
What?
What do you think he was trying to say?
That's classified.
What? Who?
His mom. It's not that good. I mean, it's like shaped nicely, but it's not like.
We got a little Marty McFly over here. What? Gailey, thanks for the Prime.
She's not that hot. It's like that.
It's like
her.
I am a menace. Eat his booty out.
What? No.
Is this just like an ending shot, or what are they doing here? They're gonna end with a vape shot? Oh, please don't. Oh, they are. God.
I love Trump, but I hated when he banned flavored vape juice.
That's what it was about all along.
I want to know why what happened in Myanmar can't happen here.
To be clear, the guy called it Myanmar. So what this guy has no clue. He called it Myanmar. He knows no clue what happened in Myanmar. What happened in Myanmar was a fascistic military junta overthrew a democratically elected government. Because that democratically elected government won an election fair and square. And they didn't want to give up power. Even though they had a lot of power given to them in the Constitution automatically by default. By default, they had 25%. of the legislature. By default, they got cabinet positions. And they overthrew the government, then started mowing down protesters, shooting little girls in the head, man. Torturing, bombing the countryside. The economy went into shit, man. That's the same military junta, same military that committed a genocide against Rohingya Muslims and pushed 750,000 Rohingya out of the country as they raped and killed children. It was horrific. And it still is horrific what's going on now as more and more protesters fly black flag and open resistance against the government. As they burn down police, it's horrific what's going on down there. So just understand that when this guy is asking, he has no knowledge about what's going on there. And listen to what General Flynn, the former national security advisor to the president of the fucking United States, says in response.
No reason. I mean, it should happen here. No reason.
The pill.
It should happen here. No reason. Him openly calling for a military coup against the United States government. That's unironically terrifying.